Well, I'll be damned, everybody. We made it a full year around and we have arrived to the games I played in 2025 ranking video. Last year I had made a video where I ranked every game I played from that year and it became my most viewed video to date. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you all truly for the support, it means the world. That video inspired me so much that I had made it a mission to tackle my backlog while also playing new releases, and we upped the number from 17 in 2024 to 25 in 2025. How fucking funny is that? Now for those who weren't here for last year's video, let me go over the rules for this. This list is ranked worst to best and includes everything that I played from December 1st, 2024 to December 1st, 2025. It doesn't matter if the game came out this year or if it's an older title. If I played it, it counts. I'm not including things I've already played, such as say Bayonetta 3 for example, even though I made a video on it this year. Things like DLC expansions or new renditions of previous installments like say Madden or Call of Duty will also count towards the list. Those are all the rules, but before I begin, I did want to mention one thing. I truly didn't play any bad games this year. Every game I played this year, at the minimum, I understood the appeal of, so do keep that in mind if you see a game ranked in a lower position. Of course, I'd love to hear your guys' list down below of your favorite games you played this year, as well as give me recommendations for any games to try out from your list, because I'm almost certain I didn't play everything. But anyways, with that, onto the list. The worst, and I say that with quotation marks, please be nice to me. The worst game I played in 2025 was Dragon Ball Gekishin Squadra. The worst game I played in 2025 was Dragon Ball Gekishin Squadra. Now this game on the surface should have actually been a good time for me, as I was a Pokemon Unite fiend back in my glory days, and I also enjoy some Dragon Ball, as any Asian kid does. Originally known as Dragon Ball Project Multi until the official name of Gekishin Squadra in June 2025, the game would release on September 9th, 2025, and the scores the game have gotten have been mixed. I'm not one to use review scores for my judgment on a game, however, but this game just wasn't fun. Returning from last year's video, my good friend Casper, who you may know behind the beautiful thumbnails for the channel, he was responsible for me playing this game, and unfortunately I didn't enjoy it. I feel like he gives me shit games on purpose. The gameplay just felt both sloppy and sluggish, something that Unite or even something like League never felt like. Despite the different character types, they all felt at a disadvantage, and at that, they released characters locked behind the season's paywall, which felt kinda scummy. However, with that being said, I do understand the appeal, and I have enjoyed games in this genre before, so I can't knock it too hard. MOBAs are very hit or miss with me, some I click with immediately while others I turn off quick. I just don't think this is one that needed to exist and is my worst game of 2025. But hey, let's keep it rolling with free live service games. Next on the list is Marvel Rivals. In all honesty, it's for the same reason as Gekishin Squadra in that I just didn't personally get moved by the gameplay, but unlike Gekishin, I actually enjoyed this gameplay, and I also totally get why it's as popular as it is. The gameplay was a good time, albeit I played on a controller, so I didn't get that full hero shooter experience. It was easy to get into, had a good loop, consistent character drops. It truly wasn't a bad time. It just didn't connect with me like it did others. And compared to every other game on the list, the bump in preference is night and day. Alright, now this next one, I'm going to need you to walk with me and slow down when I tell you this. Allow me to tell you one of Uncle Pepe's most daunting tales. You see, in all my long years of being alive, there's been one console that has gravitated towards me unlike no other, and that is the GameCube. Home to some of Nintendo's most iconic games like Super Mario Sunshine, The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker, Super Smash Bros. Melee, Pikmin my beloved, you get the point. The GameCube isn't my favorite console ever, sadly I'm a Wii U baby, but the GameCube has one thing over any other console to me, and that is its aura. Stay with me, I promise this will make sense. The feel of a GameCube game is only something you'd understand upon playing them. They have this unique weird vibe, and not in a disturbing way, but in a cool way. They have an attitude that isn't akin to the rock star skateboardy vibe of the 90s, rather something ahead of its time, like futuristic. No other title captured this feeling to me more than Chibi Robo, and it absolutely breaks my heart to tell you that I did not care for the game. Again, walk with me here, let me explain. I adored the charm of the game. I loved how weird it was. You're this little toy robot whose purpose is to make others happy. The home you're in has two parents going through a divorce, the dad's being a lazy bum and the mom's fed up. Their daughter only talks in this weird frog language, the dog just doesn't fucking like you for some reason. At night, the toys in the house come alive like it's Toy Story. I loved it. It was great. Interacting with everyone was a joy to see. The game's look, soundtrack, again, that aura, if you will, it fit exactly what I love about the GameCube. It's when I actually played the gameplay portion that I just fell out of interest. To me, it felt very slow, almost like if Pikmin was played in 0.25 speed. While you're encouraged to explore and not bound to any one objective first, actually doing these tasks, be it doing any chores or exploring things on your own, just felt boring. I use Pikmin as a comparison in that it gives you the freedom of order, but while Pikmin has an addictive fun gameplay and tests your time management, Chibi Robo's pacing of movement and tasks makes it so that you're lucky to get off an objective within the 15 minutes. I gave this game my all truly, and I genuinely wish I loved it. The concept and its quirkiness I did fall in love with, but playing the game was just not fun. hence its ranking on the lower tier of the list. Okay, quick time event coming in at the 22nd spot, we have Madden 26, god fucking damn. I play Madden every year, it's my fast food of gaming, it's not good for me, but I play it and I love it anyways. It's still jank, it still pisses me off, it matters none. It's my only way I'll ever see the Panthers win a Super Bowl, but now we have actual games the rest of the way through. This one I honestly didn't know if I should rank as 2 separate entries or 1, but I went with 1 since this is my first experience with both titles, and they're bundled in with each other. Coming in at the 21st spot, we have Sonic X Shadow Generations. Now Sonic Generations has been around for over a decade now, though this was actually my first time playing the game. I owned it on the PS3 but never tried it out till the remaster, and I'm mixed on it. To tell you the truth, I raged a lot playing this game, like I deadass wanted to rip my hair out, it was bad. I felt cheated on a lot of deaths and something about the controls just didn't feel right to me. On the other hand though, this game is everything it's advertised as. It's a celebration of Sonic the Hedgehog. Going through all the various locations throughout the series was a genuine treat to see, and the length was perfect. I do think if I went back to this game and took the time to work with the controls, I'd wind up enjoying it more, and would maybe even go for the Platinum Trophy. However, this game isn't alone as it also comes bundled with the new Shadow Generations, and this was in my opinion a much better time. Better controls, and it really put an emphasis on being a visual showcase. The jump in the I don't know what to call it, let's go with the stage moments, was a lot higher than in Sonic Generations. Things like the map shifting with Doomseye, for example, were just such an awesome treat to witness. There are a fair-sized amount of collectibles too, which can make for a fun platinum if that's your kind of thing. I do know these are good games overall, especially Shadow Generations, so ranking them this low feels like a disservice, but the quality I played this year mixed in with my preference of other Sonic titles, this is where I put Sonic, but don't worry, we'll see his little ass much later in the list. Now this title truly surprised me. Coming in at the 20th spot on the list is Donut County. This is an indie game, I know, shocking, me playing an indie game. I broke out of my little Nintendo bubble, the world's ending as we know. I'd originally only got this game because my friend Casper from earlier, he got the platinum for it and only took about 3 hours or so I figured it was just an easy breeze, and yeah, it actually was. But what I gained from it wasn't just a free platinum trophy, but a really cute, fun experience. I'm a sucker for short games, 10 to 15 hours is my sweet spot, but sometimes shorter the better in this case. He plays a raccoon who has this black hole that just sucks up objects in the area, with the more you suck up making your hole bigger. Super pause on that, by the way. It's a really short game as I mentioned, getting the platinum took maybe 3 hours and I got the game for around $5, but I'd say it was definitely worth that amount. It has an awesome soundtrack, a really nice art style, a satisfying gameplay loop, and a cute story with fun characters. I did enjoy everything else on the list more, hence the spot it's in, but this game was a delight to play through, and I highly recommend it for anyone just wanting a fun, quick experience, especially at the cheap price point it usually goes for. Fire Emblem has been a series I've long wanted to get into, and this was the year I tried my first entry in the series that wasn't a spin-off, and from what I've played, I actually really enjoyed it. Coming in at the 19th spot is Fire Emblem Fates Conquest. The key sentence here though is from what I played, meaning that, yeah, I didn't finish it. I got about halfway and just never picked it up, but I do know I did really enjoy it. The only reason why I didn't pick it up and finish it is honestly it was on 30S, as idiotic as that sounds. I've long been manifesting a Switch port of the 30S entries, but I think that ship has long sailed. I enjoy my monitor experiences, my days of handheld are left to my childhood unfortunately, but that doesn't knock the quality of this game one bit. I greatly enjoyed learning about the characters, choosing what side of the family to fight alongside. I think Corrin is a good protagonist, and hey, call me crazy, she needs to stay in Smash. No, I'm not biased for my Smash 4 days. But the music is good alongside a gameplay loop I wound up enjoying a ton, which I expected given my Mario plus Rabbids days. I had played the game while on a flight last year to Virginia, and it was probably one of the only good things about that trip if I'm being honest. As for why it's not ranked higher, well, I didn't finish it, so that would have been unfair. I think had I finished it, it could have been a sneak into the top 10, but for now it will stay here. Though I am excited to try one of the home console releases like Three Houses or Manifest support to Switch. What I did play of it though was enough to justify a placement on the list, and I'm sure someday I'll wrap it up. Last year, Astrobot released and it was a masterpiece of a video game. It won numerous awards for a reason. It truly was the real deal of 3D platforming that year. Fun fact, it was actually my very first platinum, which is kinda cute. But the funny thing is that I have owned a PlayStation 5 for a few years now, yet I actually never played Astro's Playroom until this year. I was actually recommended this title from the comments in last year's video, so thank you to everyone who recommended it. In short though, it's more of Astrobot, essentially the prototype for that game. It's a tech demo for the console, but it is one hell of a tech demo. Has a lot of fun environments that all help enhance the console you're playing on. The one downfall that caused it to move down the list is that I played Astrobot first, so playing this felt kind of watered down in comparison, not to disrespect it in any way. The game is amazing, don't get it twisted. It's just when your first go was essentially the game's final version, you're bound to feel lesser when you play the product coming from before. But still, for anyone new to a PS5, this should be the very first thing you play, don't make the same mistake I did. Okay, do you remember how I said to walk with me on the Chibi Robo entry? Do you want to go on another walk with me? Back in June of 2023, Nintendo held a direct showcasing their upcoming titles for that year. There was some good stuff like usual, but the last announcement of that show was for none other than the next Super Mario Bros. Title, called Super Mario Bros. Wonder. This game refreshed the formula of the new Super Mario Bros. Games both artistically and gameplay-wise. New mechanics, a good roster of characters to choose, a wacky art style. It was shaping up to be the greatest game in the series. I, along with all my friends, pre-ordered the title and we played it all on launch day. For me, I played it the first day, but stopped at the first world. I wasn't having much fun with it like everyone else was, but I wrote it off as feeling a bit tired from work, so I decided to come back to it the next day. The next day, the same thing happened. I wasn't feeling it at all and decided to stop playing. Then a few weeks later, and this I will admit was 100% my fault, I had gotten my wisdom teeth removed and decided for some reason to play this game again, only this went from bad to worse as I was still very drugged up and this game visually is quite a trip. So I instead spent the night on the bathroom floor and swore I just didn't like the game. Then we get to 2025 when I was no longer recovering from surgery and I found myself on a good sleep schedule. So I decided to finally try the game again and I wound up finally enjoying it, so this one did have a happy ending. I finally wasn't sick or tired, so I was able to appreciate the wacky visuals and the creative level design. Having the options of all those characters was also a really sweet addition too, even if I ended up just playing the rest of the game by myself. It is a wonderful entry in the series, though if I'm being honest, I didn't click with it like a lot of others did. Again, I do think it's a really good game, I finally understand that part. I think the time away from it and playing it when I actually was ready to was a good choice. But I don't think of it as this holy grail like a lot of people describe it as. I still honestly might prefer some of the other Super Mario Bros. Entries like you. Still, I think it's a good time and I'm glad I was finally able to open my eyes to it. We've come to my bread and butter, puzzle games. Back in 2017, as a part of my Nintendo Switch haul, I got one game called Puyo Puyo Tetris. The idea was genius, combining the two classics of Tetris and Puyo Puyo. I played the title on the Switch and had a really great time with it. I had already loved Tetris as is, and Puyo Puyo was a really fun concept to get exposed to, reminding me of puzzle games I'd played in years past. Turns out, unknown to my knowledge, they made a sequel a few years later, and one night this past year while scrolling Amazon, I happened to see a physical copy for $20, which I pounced on. The only reason it's in this spot is because it's not all that different to the first entry, and the platinum, holy shit man, I was about bored to tears. Every trophy was fine except for the popping Puyos one, that still scars me to this day. Still, I managed to get it in a little over 40 hours, and I did have a good time with the game. It had a cute story too, and a cool cast of characters that included Sonic the Hedgehog if you're into that. It's more Puyo Puyo Tetris, which is always a good thing, though with a lot of quality of life improvements that really take the game above and beyond. Not to mention there's a shit ton of modes in both Puyo Puyo and Tetris, so you're bound to be fed with content, especially at the $20 price point I got it at. Though in comparison to other games on this list, including puzzle games, this one did not stack up to their magnitude. When the Switch 2 launched, it also launched with the arrival of the GameCube on Nintendo Switch Online. Of all the titles they announced, one in particular caught my eye, FatedGFX. My history with F-Zero is that of nothing, but I had wanted to try this game for a few years now, and thankfully it lived up to all my expectations and then some. Insane speeds, great gameplay, a good roster with fun albeit difficult tracks to learn. In a year filled with racing games, one of the highlights was a game that came out 2 decades ago, if you can believe that. The game is at its best with the gameplay itself, blazing at the speeds, driving on those tight-knit courses. That's the peak of F-Zero. It does have a story mode, which is cool, and the cutscenes add a lot of charm to the game, also giving it that GameCube feel I was talking about earlier. But the best part of the game is actually the racing itself. Oh, and the soundtrack is killer as well, specifically the options menu. At the same time, the amount of racing releases this year was F-Zero's biggest preventer from moving forward in this list. Had titles like Mario Kart World, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, and Kirby Air Riders not released, this would have certainly been higher and played more, but being in the middle of the list is by far not a bad thing either. But now that we've established my enjoyment of puzzle games, I'm thrilled to say that this was finally the year I played the one puzzle game I had wanted to play the most, Tetris Effect Connected. This game is really no different to any other Tetris game as far as the general gameplay goes, but that's not why you play this one. This game is played best for that immersion factor, the stunning visuals with the music to back. Each placement of a Tetramino enhances your experience, be it the effects it gives to the music, the piece itself, or the background. It's a real test of game design and the effect, no pun intended, of visual and audio in gaming. If I ever buy a VR headset, it would be for this game and probably this game only. I like to pop on the game usually in the morning before work or as a thing to relax before bed, hence it being at 14th on the list. This one I honestly debated on even including just because of the cutoff time, but given the experience from what I did play of the main game as well as the global test, I figured I'd put it on here. In the 13th spot, I'm giving it to Kirby Air Riders. Air Riders truly has been a wonderful time with lots of great gameplay in the city trial, standard races, story mode, among others. To tell you the truth, at the start I was having a really hard time with it, but I decided to stick with the game and I'm glad I did because it has been great so far. I also love the amiibo it came with, but that doesn't really count towards this, I just wanted to show my roots. The game itself is designed so carefully, made obvious by the person who directed it being none other than Masahiro Sakurai, who you may know from directing Smash Bros. His influence is in every aspect of the game and I'm really happy for him that he got a second chance with this title and isn't bound to smash. The game is best described as the chaos battle mode brought when we were kids, or if you're a kid now, fucking Fortnite Battle Royale, I don't know. The hectic arcadey feel, the building up of your vehicle to battle with everyone else in the city trial, if you give it time, the appeal will come to you. Now as for why it wasn't ranked higher, honestly it all comes down to the amount of time I had to play the game compared to not only all the other titles on the list, but more specifically the other racing games in the list. Speaking of other racing games this year, in a year with all the kart racers, we come to the one that started off the year, kinda. At the end of the day, through all the controversy this game has, I still found myself really enjoying Mario Kart World. Did I spend loads of time in the free roam? No. Did I use strats to unlock all the characters? Of course. And did I still have fun with the game? Absolutely. The movement is great, it's visually stunning, and biggest of all, that damn Knockout Tour. Knockout Tour adds an entirely new dimension to Mario Kart and racing as a whole. In an era where Battle Royale-esque games and modes are redundant, Knockout Tour provided a total refresh of the series that, while might not have been needed, was more than welcome. The game is of course a treat to the eye, and do I even need to mention that soundtrack? Please, Nintendo, drop it on Nintendo Music, I beg you. I adore the character roster and all the random ass NPCs they brought in. I'm a Cataquat guy myself, but they're all great. The game of course has its flaws, but I think in the future with updates they'll turn this into a premier Mario Kart title. Now I did make a video on not comparing games, but given that this is a game ranking video and I was getting sweet leather in the comments, I'll go against my word and compare the games. Don't worry, Crossworlds is coming up soon. Other than playtime, Mario Kart World has one other thing over Kirby Air Riders: ease of access. What I'm referring to is its ability to pick up and play the two games. World just has a more seamless transition than Air Riders for me, though I'm good at all racing games, so we let that motherfucker ride. Now going from one controversial game to another, I loved my time with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. In a year where Pokemon was overtaken by crypto dude bros and scalpers trying to make a profit, I was starting to lose my love for Pokemon. I decided to finally try Scarlet and Violet now that the Switch 2 was out and the game didn't run like shit, and I'm so glad I did. There was a lot to love about the new generation of Pokemon, from the story and characters to the cool areas to explore, but most of all, I'm just glad it made me have fun with the franchise again when I was feeling like it would never come back. It also helped that I didn't play on the original Switch, so I got to enjoy all the enhancements it brought alongside it. A little bit of a shameless plug, but I did make a video detailing my experience with Scarlet and Violet if you want a more in-depth review of the game and my thoughts. But overall, I really enjoy this generation of Pokemon. It's not without its flaws like any other game, and I did not wind up getting the DLC, but the base experience was enough for me. I also played the game with my friends, and we all had a great time with it, so shout out Edgar, Kevin, and Casper, we really do this out here. But returning back to the list, we're now in the top 10. This is honestly a really great year for my gaming, both with new titles released within the year and seeing games previously released I never tried. Every game on this top 10 I could have easily dubbed as my best experience of the year, but of course, there can only be one. But for now, kicking us off of the top 10, we have this game. At number 10, we have Sonic Racing Crossworlds. Of the three big racing games this year, surprisingly this title was the one that became my favorite. In truth, it really boils down to my dedication to getting the stupid fucking platinum, but beyond that, I just think the game is so much fun. I love the feel of the game. The main gimmick of racing across different worlds adds a lot of spice to the game, and I've been able to play the game lots with my friend Edgar or Super Tendo if you're chill like that. From the beta, I knew that I'd play this game a good amount, but I was pleased to learn how much I'd wind up playing the game. I've been doing every single festival, and with the amount of content drops the game gets, it's bound to keep me playing for years to come. The only downside compared to the other racing games is the grinding for tickets is genuinely ridiculous, but that's a relatively small complaint given the quality of game you get here. The Crosswords mechanic really does blend in great with the arcade racing feel the game offers, alongside the gadget customization, making for endless possibilities with what and how your races go. I adore all three of this year's big racers, but Crosswords stood head overall. I don't think that's an expression, I don't give a fuck. I just thought it was the best of the three. Just understand me here, please. Look, I know what it looks like. I'm putting a gacha game in my top 10 games of the year. In a year with genre-defining titles, I'm putting this bull junk in my top 10. Why? To make matters worse, the original Persona 5 came out damn near 10 years ago, and I've only gotten up to the second palace in it, yet I somehow have over 200 hours in this damn mobile game. But I'm here to tell you that none of these thoughts matter one bit to me because god fucking damn, when I tell you this game is coke, I truly mean it. I'm sure I've spoken about this before, but I'm a gambling man. Well, I'm semi-retired now, but I'll never turn down a good bet. I've played a gacha game before. I used to be pretty heavy on the Fire Emblem Heroes, but I really didn't hold on to that one, and I was entirely free to play on that. Not that you can't do that here, you certainly can, but the idea of spending hard-earned coin on a game that you won't even be guaranteed the character, my fucking goodness. That's not actually the real reason why I like this game. In all seriousness, the story of this game is actually phenomenal. I'm a defender of the Subway Slammer and the food reviewer, but the story in Chapter 3 with Rico is just beautiful. It's such good shit. If you want more Persona, this scratches the itch, at least until Persona 6 drops in like 2030. I will say I do find it really funny that I could have used this time to beat the actual Persona 5, but instead I chose to give it to a gacha game, but I don't give a fuck. And to be honest, for a mobile game, playing it on Steam has really been a good experience. I haven't noticed any issues and it can pass off as its own entry entirely. I've been doing my dailies literally every day. I legit played this game more than any actual game this year. It also helps that again I've been playing with my friend Edgar, thanks for playing friend. We do our summons together, have our own little inside jokes and whatnot. It just enhances the experiences altogether and does enough so to be in my top 10 favorite games I played of this year. I'm fucking sorry, I could have chosen like anything else. But moving on to perhaps the biggest sleeper on this entire list, let me take you back in time one whole year ago, more specifically on my birthday. My lovely family got me presents as one would do, and I got 3 games, one of which was the remake of Mario vs. Donkey Kong on the Switch. Growing up, I only played one Mario vs. Donkey Kong game, and you can put a heavy asterisk on the word one. My first experience with this franchise was Mini Mario and Friends Amiibo Challenge on the Wii U. Jesus Christ. And you can put another asterisk on the word experience because I played it for all of 5 minutes before never touching it again. So years later, I was able to get a full Mario vs. Donkey Kong experience, and to tell you the truth, I had a really good time with it. The game quite honestly is the perfect experience. It's a short game which gets good brownie points from me. Visually, it's beautiful alongside a great soundtrack, but above all, it's a damn puzzle game, and you know I love me my puzzle games. Is it the hardest puzzle game out there? No, not anywhere close to it, but it is just a great cozy game. I think you'd be out of your damn mind if you suggested I paid $50 for this, but I think your judgment would be right if I told you I probably would have paid that much paper for it. But thankfully I did not, thanks to my family, so thank you Mom and Dad. Much appreciated. In all seriousness though, if you're able to grab this game, I highly recommend it. It's a good game to just sit down on the couch with some blankets and a nice hot cocoa and enjoy, especially given this winter weather. The only reason it isn't ranked higher is just because, well, I mean, you'll see why. Though I did want to bring it back to the beginning of this section. I mentioned my birthday last year I got 3 games. One was Mario vs. Donkey Kong, another was Pikmin 3 Deluxe, which I played last year, and the last game on that list was With a list as stacked as this one is, it almost feels disrespectful to put this title in what feels like such a low spot, when any other year it could have easily been top 3. That's just a testament to how good a year I had playing games, but that also speaks volumes to the quality of Pikmin 4. This is yet another amazing title in the Pikmin franchise that I regret not playing sooner. I'm now all caught up on the Pikmin franchise and it's become one of my favorite franchises in all of gaming, regardless of platform. Pikmin 4 retains the same fun and core concepts of the previous entries while also introducing a lot new, my favorite of which being the Dandori battles. Dandori genuinely improved my life, allowing me to really maximize my time in a day to get the most done possible. This game also added Ochi, your second captain who's insanely broken but equally as fun. I love the new Pikmin types they introduced, mainly the Ice Pikmin. I have a little keychain of him hanging in my car. Not to mention the game is unbelievably beautiful, easily one of the best looking games on the Switch and one of the best looking games Nintendo has ever made. As for my Pikmin ranking in the franchise though, not that anybody asked but I'm still going to give it to you anyways. 3's my all time favorite, the first game, then the 4th, and then the 2nd game. As for the rest of the list this year, it did not stack up to the other games ahead, though make no mistake, this is an incredible game. Alright, the next 4 games on the list are all 2025 releases, which is kinda crazy to me. This year was easily the year I played the most new releases, and I was lucky enough to be able to experience a good portion of the top highlights from the year. To start this 4P, I'm going to talk about Donkey Kong Bonanza. For a lot of people, this was their game of the year, and for good reason. It came at just the right time when people were starting to want more after Mario Kart World, and it balanced out the desire for a single-player launch window experience. As for the game itself, I mean, what can I say that hasn't already been said? The gameplay is some of the best Nintendo has ever made, with movement so smooth alongside a progressing skill tree, allowing for even stronger moves. Pauline as your sidekick akin to Cappy was a great move on the development team's part. Her Her and DK really bounce off of each other well and give a lot of charm to the game. I enjoyed almost all the areas to explore as well as collecting all the bananas. If you wanted a 3D Mario fix, this was the perfect game to do that. The game is at its best at the end though. I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't tried the game yet, but that ending is one of Nintendo's best climaxes they've ever done. Point blank period. So with all this praise, what held it back from going higher? I really did enjoy this game, but if I'm being honest, it didn't leave the same impact on me as it did a lot of other people. I've heard people say it's Nintendo's best 3D platformer, it was one of the best games ever, better than Odyssey and all that, and it just didn't leave that same mark. Again, it's an incredible game, I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it, I certainly did, but it didn't quite hit that spot like it did for others. As for the game nitpicks, I do feel it had a little bit of pacing issues, probably removing a few sub-layers would have been best, but the nitpicks for the game are very, very small and didn't take away from an otherwise stellar experience. We're now getting into the top 5, and coming in at the 5th spot, I'm putting Split Fiction. This was the first game by Hazelight Studios I'd ever played, and I genuinely was missing out. I played this game the entire way through with my friend Casper, who also makes the thumbnails, thank you very much as always. The game was such a joy to go through from start to finish. The switch between sci-fi and fantasy worlds made the game always feel refreshing and never outstayed its welcome for one portion. If you weren't feeling a certain point, it was back to a new one not too long after. The game really tests your compatibility with someone, being able to work together, and I'd say given that we had already been playing games together for years, it made for an even better experience. The game is wonderful visually, especially for me the sci-fi portions. All the great moments this game offers you and whoever you wind up playing with is bound to be a highlight of your entire year, I promise that. The only unfortunate thing is since I had played through the friend pass, I didn't get any of the trophies, so I'll have to go back someday and get them. But all in all, Split Fiction was truly something special, and it's worth every nomination and award the game will inevitably get. But there were 2 games this year that just beat out Split Fiction, and the first of which happened to be my most anticipated game of the year. To me, this had been my most anticipated release of the entire year, and it more than lived up to the hype. At number 4, I'm giving it to Silent Hill F. If I could narrow the game down to one word, I'd choose experience. From the moment you open the menu to the second you reach the credits, you are taken on one of the most beautiful horror experiences the genre has to offer. The game nailed the one thing I had hoped it would most, and that was the player interpretation. With the story, the game makes you feel something through Hinako's struggles. Each shocking moment leaves the player in awe and guessing everything, no matter what you took away from the endings in the story. There is no wrong answer, and that's my favorite part of not just this game, but the Silent Hill franchise as a whole. The game's themes really make you feel something, and by the end of it, you just want Hinako to be happy. Using the same points as I have previously, the visuals and audio are all great here. However, there is one thing with the game I'm mixed on, and that would be the combat. On the one hand, the game had me beyond frustrated at times with common enemies of all things. Specifically that stupid crawling motherfucker who hits you like 20 times, that really pissed me off to a point of where I was raging real bad. On the other hand, the combat shined best in the boss battles, which are some of my favorite battles of the entire year. Learning the patterns of any enemy and striking them down quick, dodging at the perfect time was always satisfying. I saw it online be compared to a Souls game, which I don't play any of those, so I won't say I agree or disagree, but overall I'm mixed on that aspect of the game. The highlight of this game isn't the combat or the visuals, it's always going to be the story, and that was what I cared for most and what delivered the best. It also helped that I streamed the entire way through, so I got to interact and enjoy it with all of you, which was really cool. The game was actually going to be the best new release of the year for me hands down. It more than lived up to its hype and is my personal favorite Silent Hill game now. However, there's one more release this year that to me went above and beyond all the others. Now we're in the top 3 of the year, and sliding into the 3rd spot, we have... If you told me ahead of time that Legends EA would be in my top 3 of the year, yeah, I probably would have believed you. Of all the Pokemon generations, my favorite is always going to be Gen 6. Kalos is my childhood generation and was undoubtedly the peak of my Pokemon fandom. I collected all the X and Y era, played the TCG, shout out Night Martian and Veltal EX, that was some good shit right there. I would go to GameStop for both X and Y and Oris and get all the download codes for the mystery gift Pokemon. The generation is just super nostalgic for me. I've heard all the arguments for why Kalos sucks, but that means nothing, she is very gorgeous to me. But when X and Y came out, I was 7 years old if you can believe that, so now with Legends EA releasing, I'm on the brink of 20 years of age if you also can unfortunately believe that. So being able to head back to Kalos once more, I can't lie, it was probably my favorite experience of the whole year. With all the emotional side story out of the way, this game I feel was made for me. I didn't play Legends Arceus, and after this game I don't know if I want to, not because it's bad, but just for how good this game was. Even though the game is limited to Lumios, it doesn't hold it back from feeling fleshed out. You really do get the most out of the space, and never did I feel like wanting to see something else. The characters here really hit the spot though. Seeing some old characters from the original X and Y like Emma really hit me in the nostalgic feel-goods. It was like I grew up with these characters, going from seeing them from the first time as a child to now being adults and seeing them all again. Each grown up and matured, it was just a really cool feeling. But despite the nostalgia, it was actually the new characters who took it home for me. Team MZ is such a lovable cast of characters, and despite me being love blind with X and Y, Team MZ absolutely shits on that cast. My favorite character by far though was Jacinth? Jacinth? I don't know how to say her name. But she was a crazy ass character that charmed my heart like no other. She actually had me laughing like crazy. Even better is the main character you create. It has so much personality too in their dialogue options. It really makes you feel like you're living in Kalos. This is all backed by the comeback of character customization with hundreds of outfits to choose from. As a true Kalos fan, I know that the female customization shits on the male, so I did go that same route and look at how good that looked. Another thing I loved was the combat. I hadn't played Arceus as mentioned before, so this legend system was all new to me, and honestly, it's hard to go back to standard Pokemon after playing this. This is all enhanced by the game's return of Mega Evolution and the new ZA Royale. Megas, I'm just glad are back. They're by far the best gimmick of all the Pokemon games, but that ZA Royale, man, that was just addictive. The game has a day and night feature, and at night is where the ZA Royale takes place. Going around sneaking up on trainers and racking up points was so much fun. The game really made me appreciate and try out new Pokemon I wouldn't have even considered before, like Meowstic for example. The game was so good that I even did all the side quests. I hardly ever do side quests in games, I'm usually a start to finish kind of guy, but the amount of variety and charm in all these side quests made me have to complete them all. This is all backed by easily the best soundtrack in the entire franchise's history. I'm a jazz lover myself, so getting those elements was a nice treat. My only negative with the game isn't even that bad, but I do wish we were able to explore the other areas of Kalos, as in my opinion it is the most beautiful region of all the generations. But in all, I'm so glad I got to play this game and revisit my favorite generation once more. Touching on the point I made with Scarlet and Violet, in a year where being a Pokemon fan has become unbearable with all the scalpers and fakes, having such a great experience with ZA really made me retain my love for the series, and I'm so glad I got to see it once more now as an adult. I had a lot to say about Legend ZA, but my final two games on the list just got the edge over it as my favorite experiences of the year. Coming in at the second best game I played in 2025, we have...
Wait. If your mom is homeless, right? How are you playing a game?
Did I not say I live with my dad?
This year my hope was to play new franchises... Oh, what the fuck is that? Sorry, I thought I just seen a bug crawl. Anyways, this year my hope was to play new franchises, and honestly I didn't really do that. Looking back at the list, a majority of the titles I played were from things I was already familiar with, but that didn't stop a few things from making it in. The one I'm most glad I tried was none other than Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Before I get into that, I did want to give an honorable mention here to the sequel, Justice for All. I was playing it and almost done with the third chapter, but I finally created my own Steam account for Persona 5 The Phantom X, so my progress was stuck on my dad's account, and now I haven't been able to get back to it quite yet. So I decided to leave that out for the time being. Anyways, back to the game. God, I love this game. It scratched every itch I possibly had. I love debating, I love law, the characters are such a treat, I couldn't have asked for a better game. The game is fairly simple. You play as Phoenix Wright, a defense attorney looking to give your clients a not guilty verdict. The scenarios, characters, and every twist and turn in between shape the game up to be a genuine classic, and one of my favorite games of all time now. Of course, Phoenix Wright is just great, but you gotta shout out Maya Fey the GOAT, Miles Edgeworth, The Judge, Dick Gumshoe, among many others. All the cases are really good, but the standout and still my favorite case so far is the 5th case from the first game, Rise from the Ashes. It would be a disservice to talk about that case, but if you've played it, I think you know why I think so highly of it. And if you haven't, I urge you to play it along with the rest of the game itself. It's a long case, but worth every bit that you play. The gameplay itself isn't the most exhilarating thing. At times the evidence gathering itself is kinda on the weaker ends of the chapters, but all that vanishes once you get in that courtroom. Finding loopholes in the statements, getting the characters to break, it all makes for some of the most over-the-top, enjoyable gameplay you can ask for. I'm not sure how it took me so many years to play the series, but I'm so glad I finally did in 2025, and I can't wait to play all of them in the coming months and years. But now we are finally at the number 1 spot. 2025 gave me a lot of great gaming memories and experiences. Even the ones towards the bottom of the list still had their moments of fun. I was very fortunate to have not played a game I thought was bad this entire year. I was also fortunate enough to have played a ton of genre-defining titles and future classics. However, with all this being said, there was one game this year that surpassed all the others. From the year's best titles of Bonanza and Silent Hill F to classics like Ace Attorney, my favorite game I played this year beat them all out. Coming in at the number 1 spot, my favorite game I played in 2025 was... My favorite game I played in 2025 was Gravity Rush Remastered. This was actually a title I saw a few people recommend to me in last year's video, and I was able to grab it for a really good sale, and oh my god, it was so amazing. Thank you to everyone who dropped the recommendation. The game was something so special. The best way I can describe it is through its charm. The protagonist Cat is one of my favorite protagonists in gaming history, and anyone who has played this game would probably be in agreement. Her kindness and will to do anything really resonated with the player, and makes everyone you interact with, regardless if they're a main character or just an average NPC, feel like a real conversation. I have to touch on the art style, as it's seriously one of my favorite looking games ever, only enhanced in the second game. The Franco-Belgian comic book style, along with all the cel shading, brings the world to life, even in its more blander areas. Plajon in specific is my favorite area in the game, with all the nighttime lights out. Anybody who played this game will tell you about the controls, which are the biggest turnoff for a lot of people. I will admit that it has its bad moments, but if you choose to stick through the game, you will be rewarded with a great experience. Combat isn't anything too special, but the main attraction of the gameplay is the gravity shifting. I played the remastered version on my PS5, and I felt like everything worked pretty well. It was one of the most unique experiences I've had with Control, which is present in a lot of their other works through Team Asobi with Astrobot. It was a ton of fun speeding through the city shifting gravity, alongside doing all the side quests and challenges. I enjoyed this game so much that I went ahead and got the Platinum Trophy, and that was probably my favorite Platinum I've done so far. The best part of it all is the length. It never overstays its welcome, and it's split off into chapters, with each one giving you a handful of side quests and challenges to do. So you're never in one area for too long, and you can always play how you desire. Upgrading Cat's abilities to make her overpowered is such a rewarding feeling, and it all climaxes in a really great final battle. The game isn't without its flaws. For example, the villains aren't necessarily the best, but Cat is the main focus of the game here. She's going to be the standout for about anyone who plays it, and the charm her and the rest of the game brings is what catapulted it to my #1 spot, as well as becoming one of my favorite games I've ever played. But with that, we've now made it to the end of the list. If you stuck around this long, truly thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you dropped a like and subscribe to the channel. I'd also love to hear what your guys' favorite and least favorite games you played this year were. I got put on to some great games this year, so I'd love to get put on to some new ones for 2026 and beyond. But anyways, that's all from me. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.